Hey guys, Theo here. This video is about what is dyslexia and more the meaning of how it physically affects us. And because there's a lot of successful dyslexics and basically people who are in like a negative category who are, drug addicted, drop out of secondary school and in prison and all this stuff. So two big categories and me explaining what's the defining factor, the difference between these two categories and how dyslexia affects our life and maybe how you can work on it to really not make it negatively affect your life, but make it positively affect your life.
So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast.
Hello guys, I hope we're doing alright. It's Theo here. Now, today I want to have a little conversation with you, and I was thinking about this. About basically the difference between what actually is dyslexia and how does it affects us in real life. And I think when we define what is dyslexia is and how it affects us are two completely different things. And when I say how it affects us, how I think of it is how it really actually affects us in life, and what's what's the consequence after we have these so-called difficulties, and then what happens after that, and basically like a domino effect. Oh, this happens, that may feel like this, and this means this happens in our actions. Because if I had to tell you the stats about dyslexia, there's 30% of all entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 40% of all self-made millionaires are dyslexic. Half the people who work at NASA as space engineers, they are dyslexic. And so many architects and so many other people are dyslexic, so in certain industries. And it's when you look at these stats, oh my God, dyslexia is such a gift. It makes people so creative, think outside the box, be able to deal with problems, be able to overcome challenges and adversity, to keep going despite all the obstacles, to have not the same unique approach to everything. Dyslexia is such a gift. But when you look at the other side of it, 35% of all dyslexics drop out of secondary school. 70% of all dyslexics are involved in alcohol and drug rehabilitation. 70% of those people, alcohol and drug rehabilitation, are dyslexic. There's 40%. 40% of juvenile delinquents, kids committing crime, are dyslexic. It's incredible negative stats. And now these stats I talk about for length in my Conquering Dyslexic book. But why is there such a divide between these two massive things? Whether dyslexia is dyslexia, and is it because these people are more severe, that's why they go down this negative route? Is it because then I want to talk about basically what are the common beliefs behind why are people going down this route and why are people going down the other route? And then I want to give maybe a solution to that, and this solution is more whole-rounded, and it's not looking at you have to do A, B, C, and D. It's more based of your psychology. It's more strategy-based. So basically, okay, if we ask the question, why are these two big different gaps? We could ask, well, is it because of their dyslexia? And then we look at these people with what I call the unsuccessful and the successful dyslexics. Well, if you look at the unsuccessful dyslexics, and I don't like using that term, but these people say, okay, this person did have a struggle in school. We did show signs of dyslexia. Or maybe did get diagnosed later on. But then we find someone else in the same category who was diagnosed early, who've had this help, had that support. And then we look at this successful category. There's people on both ends. People that hasn't been diagnosed early, haven't had this, didn't have the right support, and yet they still made a good living. They still figured it out. So it's not that severity of dyslexia that really matters in this case, because there's people that have all levels of severity in one category and people in all levels of severities in the other. So okay, it's not that. Well, let's talk about schooling. Let's say, okay, if someone had the best help in school, okay, let's look at the bad category, negative category. There's all these people that have done really badly in school. Yeah, but also that, for example, when I do say badly, where low support, low help, low that. Okay, all these people that had the low support, low help. Yeah, that's it. But then there's these other lot of people who have had support, have had help, and yet they're still in this category of the negative category. Then let's turn to the positive side. There's still a bunch of people who have had help and support. Oh, great, that's really good. That's really good. Maybe there might be some more. Maybe there might be some, linkages you can make. Like, there's more people who have had help, had support. That's really good. And by the way, I'm not saying having help support is bad. Having help support is amazing. That's what I've had. And undoubtedly, there will be a larger percentage of people in the successful category who've had more help and more support, who were diagnosed early. And I'm all 100% for diagnosed early, not having any excuses to why this kid isn't learning. And diagnosing dyslexia, looking for diagnosed dyslexia, not dancing on the problem because of all these little detailed bits. So, okay, there's more dyslexics here that have had help and support. Okay, that makes sense. But there's still some who hasn't had help and support, and yet they're still in this category. Well, why is that? So there's linkages. There's sort of like basically, there's circumstances that, okay, but that's not the defining factor. It is a factor, an important factor, but it's not the defining factor. Okay, let's take a step deeper. What about parenting? Parenting styles. Well, let's look at the negative category. For the parenting styles, maybe they didn't have books when they're growing up. Maybe you mean that they wasn't as keen on education, all this other stuff. Okay, well, certainly there's a lot of them there. Well, also let's look at the parents who did have knowledge, who did have books in their house, who did try and do the right thing. Well, yeah, there's still a bunch of these people with as well. These people there have had help, had support, the best things given to them, not just a normal laptop, the best laptop, not a normal school, the best school, not normal, growing up by the best education, best growing up. And yet they're still in this category of basically sort of like what I say, negative, drugs and alcohol, this and all these problems that they face. And then let's look at the positive side. There's people there, of course, that had a lot of help and a lot of support in schooling and parenting, and yet they are successful. And also, there's also a bunch of people there who have had help, who have not had help, had not had support, who's still in the successful category. But yes, there's obviously linkage between these things, and yes, obviously they show some sort of resemblance. And I'm not saying they don't. Of course they do. Of course they're an important factor in your growing up. But why? This is my question. Why are there still some people who are given everything, the best growing up, the best education, the best culture, who are in the negative category? And why are there some people who had nothing, no help, no support, no all this, they're in the successful category? Why is that? Now, that's what I've been wanting to answer for ages, and I think in my Conquer Dyslexia book, I realise what it is. And what I found out, it comes to two decisions. Two fundamental decisions, and you can track this. When you speak to people, they'll give you some version of this answer. Two decisions. And one of these decisions isn't really a decision. One decision is they let their dyslexia use them. They let it. It's an indecision. But indecision is a decision in itself. They let their dyslexia use them. They don't go against the struggles they face day to day. They don't go against that adversity. They accept it. This is my dyslexia. These are my difficulties. This is what's wrong with me. This is my lot in life. They accept it. Well, if things hard, I can't do it because I'm dyslexic. That's why. If it's hard, I'm not meant to do it. I'm not going to try. I'm going to fight. I'm going to go against everyone else. And all of this. And that's why they're dyslexic. For example, if you had that mindset, had the best help and best support, and yet I'm doing the best I can, but it's not working. If it's hard, I'm not going to do it. It's my dyslexia. My dyslexia is ruining. Then you can be in this category. You can let dyslexia use you. And also, you've been given nothing. You still go down the same road. But that's the first decision. The second decision is to decide to use your dyslexia. Make it a decision to use your dyslexia, then you'll be in the second the successful category. This meaning, for example, you have no help, no support, no schooling, but you can decide to do whatever it takes to make something of yourself, so then you can help other people, so you can do more things. So you will not let this difference hold you back. You will not let this thing called dyslexia stop you. Okay, that's the second decision you have to make. Decide to use your dyslexia. Do not let it use you. And when you do that, you have so much power to change it. And yes, of course, things are going to be hard. Things are going to be way much more harder at the beginning. But let me tell you, can either live like for example, if you work hard, if you basically do the hard things, you'll live an easy life. If you do the easy things, you'll live a hard life. Okay, so this is like the same thing with dyslexia. If you do the hard things, if you push yourself, at the end of it, it'll be a lot more easier than it would be if you didn't push yourself. That's what all it comes down to. So you make the decision to use it, and basically you have struggle. Yes, these things are coming up. Yes, people are treating you like this. Yes, things are unfair. But it's what you're going to do. But you're not going to say this struggle defines me. Saying, okay, yes, the struggle is hard, but I'm not going to let my dyslexia define my capabilities, define my potential. Of course it's hard, but go out there and do it. Go out and do it. I mean, that's what, like, with me, that's my big thing. Like, I let dyslexia use me, completely use me, because I gave all my responsibility off to the special needs school I was at. I let all my responsibility off to the special needs school and their help and their support, and I sort of let them do their thing. But guess what? I never fully pushed myself. I never fully went the extra mile, done the extra thing to complete that. And then when I left there, I thought, this is the best I'm going to be. I had the best help, best support. This is the best I'm going to be. And then, like, I was in the sixth form, and the teacher sat me down, saying, Theo, you're going to have to do a GCSE English. I laughed in her face. I was like, no way, miss. I'm nowhere near GCSE English. I can't. I had the best help and support, and you're expecting me to do something that's impossible in like a very short space of time, and I wouldn't do it. But I said, you're in the lessons anyway. I didn't go to barely any of the lessons, and I wasn't enjoying it at all. So he pulled me in the next day and said, Theo, why do you say this to yourself? Why do you say you can't improve? And then I realised something. I realised I kept on saying I couldn't improve because I believe I can't. I believe I can't because of the experiences I had, but ultimately it's a belief. There's one thing I learned about belief. It's an opinion, it's not fact. It's your opinion. It's my opinion that I couldn't improve my English. Therefore, I wasn't any good at it. Therefore, I couldn't do these things. So I let the dyslexia use me up to that point, and then I realised, oh my God, what if I could improve my English? What if I give everything I got? What would happen then? And then I took upon myself to use my dyslexia, not have it define me. Because I said to myself, one of my reasons is I'm going to do whatever it takes, not let dyslexia use me. Like, I'm going to prove to myself that I'm not going to let dyslexia use me or stop me doing what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I can prove it to myself, and then I can prove to everyone else and be an example to everyone else. They would not have to let dyslexia stop them. I worked incredibly hard, and I succeeded way more than I ever did in my dyslexic school. I improved my English reading and writing ability 500% more in 1 year, having little to no help, compared to 8 years having the best help in the world. And I got my C in English, which is before I was completely impossible. Why? I used my dyslexia. I did not let my dyslexia use me. I did not let these challenges I come up use me. And I think if you look at that, that's the defining factor about how dyslexic affects us. Because yes, there's the dyslexia stats out there, and yes, dyslexia affects us in our phonology and all these things in our brain. But yet, there's people that are successful with dyslexia and people who aren't successful with dyslexia. And it's a massive divide between. And what's the difference? Fundamentally, beyond anything else that's outside of your control, it's your decisions. Whether you decide to use your dyslexia or let your dyslexia use you. So what have you been doing? Have you been letting your dyslexia use you this time? The challenges use you? Oh, this is hard. I can't improve it. I won't be able to improve it. Oh no, this is bad. It's all down to my dyslexia. It's this fault. It's this fault. So saying no, it's up to me to improve it. Because there's one thing I learned, and it's so critical, and it's not a nice saying, but it's true, and it's empowering. The world won't change for you. You have to change for the world. Let me say that one more time. The world won't change for you. You have to change for the world. Because all these things you have to do out there to meet these certain requirements, to do this sort of thing, we have to change for the world. And we can adapt towards it. But when I say, oh, you have to change for me, you have to change for me. No, that's not how it really works. Yes, that's how we would like it to work, but fundamentally as a whole, we have to improve to get better skills. And when we do that, we become happier. We become greater, then we can live a quality of life that is way above average because we went through so much more. Therefore, we feel more proud about ourselves. We can accomplish so much more because we went through so much more struggle. Because after you go through struggle, you can do more things if you use it as a lesson, not use it as a crutch. Guys, I really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you got some really valuable information from this. Okay, guys, take care, and bye.